Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our second live stream about college admissions. Today, we're going to be covering the personal insight questions and the Common App essays and some strategies to help you get ready for those. Before we do that, we wanted to briefly show you the Claremont High School website webpage for juniors. This is counseling resources specifically for juniors. So click on the counseling link, counseling resources for juniors. And on this page, you're going to find the resources you're going to want to look at as you prepare for college. We're on that second live stream there, and there's also a form to submit questions for tonight. At the end of our presentations, we'll take a few minutes and answer some of the questions that come in. So make sure you click that and submit your questions there. So I'm going to introduce Mrs. Paula Hebert and Miss Christina Bergslein. They'll be hosting tonight's presentation.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Christy Bergslein, and this is
Paula Hebert, guidance counselor.
So tonight what we're talking about is the UC personal insight questions, or we refer to them as PIQs, and the Common App essay. So what are the basics of the UC PIQs? The logistics are all applications for the UCs are due on November 30th. That is a tight deadline. They don't extend that deadline. So parents, students, write that in any calendar right now because that is not changing. Applications open on August 1st, but you cannot submit until November 1st. And something that I'll continue to talk about as we go through this presentation is that you are going to want to make sure, you're going to want to make sure that you are getting these done early on. All right, so the basics. All applications that November 30th. So the directions. So you will have a total of 8 questions to choose from. You must respond with only 4 of the 8 questions. Each response is limited to a maximum of 350 words. And you will have the word cap in the box on the UC application. That is a hard 350 words per question. Which questions you choose to answer is entirely up to you guys, but you should select questions that are most relevant to your experience and best reflect you, right? So you and your best friend will most likely be answering different questions because you've had different life experiences. So what are some things that are good to keep in mind? So all questions are equal. All are given equal consideration. So they're not saying question number 1 is going to give you more of an in than question number 2. There's no advantage or disadvantage. It's which question speaks to you best. Which question are you going to really be able to show and express to the UCs who you are? Also, there's no right and or wrong answer for these questions. So they want to know your personality. They want to know your achievements, right? Getting to know your voice. So making sure that you are being heard. So questions and guidance. Remember, the personal insight questions are just that. They're personal, right? It's about who you are. You should use our guidance, but that's just what it is. It's guidance, it's suggestions. The important thing is that your expressions to the UCs who you are, what you believe in. All right, so why am I writing these questions? So the biggest reasons, they provide context. They are going to show, your life. It's self-advocacy, showing them this is what I believe in. It's really expressing yourselves. And this is the time to show the UCs why you belong on their campus. What are you gonna add? What is gonna really add to their campus that you can bring? So they don't have an interview process. So this is the time that you are going to be able to, it's your interview, right? So this is the time that you really show them, again, I keep saying who you are because that's truly what it's about. So what are these questions that I keep talking about? So the first one is describe an example of your leadership experience in which you have positively influenced others, helped resolve disputes, or contributed to group efforts over time. So for this question, a lot of times students go, oh, I was a leader in this organization or president of this club. That's not necessarily what they're looking for. It's great if you answer the question that way, but some of my favorite PIQ answers for this question have been about how they were leaders in their families, how they took one opportunity. It might have been one day, but they led, and how they really made a difference. So number 2, every person has a creative side, and it can be expressed in many ways: problem solving, original and innovative thinking, and artistically, to name a few. Describe how you express your creative side. So again, this doesn't just have to be, oh, I'm a really good drawer. It can, but again, I love that when students talk about, I was able to do this with a math project. Every year, the counselors go to a UC, it's a big conference that we go to, and they always talk about these, and they always talk about how they love seeing students really think outside of the box for these questions. So what would you say your greatest talent or skill is? How have you developed and demonstrated that talent over time? So again, with these questions, they really like to see the growth process for the student. So it's showing them, I started here and now this is where I'm ending up. They like you to tell that story. So describe how you have taken advantage of a significant educational opportunity and worked to overcome an educational barrier you have faced. Again, they love to see this growth. Where have you started? Where are you coming to? And they like to see this because they want to know, if you experience certain things in college, how are you going to overcome it? They're looking for resiliency here. How do you face problems head on, and how do you learn from them? So number 5, describe the most significant challenge you faced and the steps you have taken to overcome this challenge. How has this challenge affected your academic achievement? Again, I keep stressing the word you and your, and it's even highlighted here on the PowerPoint, because these questions are about you. So oftentimes the UCs tell us that students take this question where they can really, say how they overcame something and how resilient they are. And it might have been, the hardest thing I faced is my grandma had cancer, and that's terrible and hard. And if this is the question you choose and how you answer it, how did you overcome it? And oftentimes students talk about how great grandma is, right? And how she's the best person on the planet, how you love her so much, she makes the best enchiladas, right? But you're not showing who you are. So it always bring it back to you. And I understand that this isn't how we write, right? Typically, I'm not the type of person, we don't write about how wonderful we are or how great we are. But we talk about other things, and it's okay in this instance, right? You really want to talk yourself up because this is how they're going to get to know you. All right, think about an academic subject that inspires you. Describe how you have furthered your interest inside or outside of the classroom. So this subject, like, how do you want to bring it up in all conversations, right? How are you passionate about it? How has it changed you, right? What opportunities have you taken to learn? Do you watch YouTube videos about physics, right? What do you do to keep learning about this subject? And describe your passion. And I think that that's so much of what these questions are about. Pick a question that you're passionate about, because then it will be easier to write. If it's a question that you don't really relate with, then again, you're not going to be able to answer it to your fullest. So what have you done to make your school or community a better place? So again, what have you done? The UCs have talked about in the past about a student that was really moved after she went to a different country of people that didn't have shoes. And so she went back to her school and she started a shoe drive, and then she donated all of these shoes. So it's things like, what have you done? How can, we have this knowledge, what have you done with it? How have you made the community a better place? And then finally, the last question is, beyond what has already been shared in your application, what do you believe makes you stand out as a strong candidate for admissions to the University of California? All right, some tips and suggestions. Start early, right? That application opens August 1st, but the questions are already out there. We've already given to you. So this is something you can work on over the summer. Every year at these conferences, the counselors are told that, this past year we were told that a reader, because these applications will actually be physically read by the people admitting you into the school. There's hundreds of readers that read these every year, so it will get read. That the readers can tell how many times a student has rewritten or has made adjustments to their personal insight questions because they can tell how much time has been spent on them. Copy and paste these written statements into the applications. So again, the app doesn't start till August, but start it in a Google Doc or a Google Drive. Or if you're like me, I'm so kinesthetic, I would probably write it out on a piece of paper first, whatever works for you. Again, it's written in a first person. Use I and my statements. Okay. So again, making it that very personal to you. Keep it professional. You want to make sure that even though it's personal, we're not using so much slang that the reader can't follow. All right. It's a response to a question, not an essay prompt, right? Make sure you're answering the question. It's not an essay prompt. This isn't an English project. Proofread and edit before you submit. As much as it's not, graded off of grammar, you want to make sure that it goes back to keeping it professional. And then have people review it, right? Maybe your parents, maybe your friend, maybe a staff member at school will read it for you. So make sure someone else is looking at it. So I'm going to try and go to another page really fast. It's one of my favorite little tricks that I always tell students to go to. So this is taking us directly to the UC website. And on here, it talks about the personal insight questions. There's this YouTube video that I also have linked. And it has the directions for the UC PIQs, what to keep in mind. And here's my favorite part. So here you'll see the questions and then things to consider for each question. And underneath that, it asks you questions, kind of like sub-questions to the question of your PIQ. So I always suggest to students go through that, answer it. And sometimes your PIQ will be answered just through going through those questions. All right, and now we're moving forward to the Common Application by Ms. Hebert.
All right. So just a quick sidestep. The Common Application is an application platform that can provide students access to over 880 colleges, both in the US, Canada, Europe, and a few campuses in Japan and China. The Common Application has been developed for years, and students can simultaneously apply to up to 20 colleges using the single application called the Common Application. When a student uses the Common Application to apply for college, they will see that an essay is required as part of their Common Application. So the Common Application essay prompts are 7, and we'll go over them now. Essay prompt number 1. Some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful that they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. This is somewhat similar to the ideas that were shared with the PIQs, but this is an opportunity for a student and applicant to talk about themselves, what interests them, what motivates them, what gets you out of bed in the morning. Question 2, prompt 2. The lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you? And what did you learn from the experience? Many of us face challenges, setbacks, and even failure. You may want to identify a time that there was a challenge, a setback, or failure, and how you overcame it, what you learned from that, your reflection on that, and how you intend to grow or how you have grown in the future. That can be a very meaningful way to show a different side of yourself outside of your grades and GPA. Prompt number 3, reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking and what was the outcome? This could have happened in a classroom. It could have happened in a club. It could have happened in some other educational setting or personal setting. It could be a way to describe a little bit of your leadership and also how your thinking and the way you think about the world has evolved. Prompt number 4, describe a problem you've solved or a problem you'd like to solve. It can be an intellectual challenge, a research query, an ethical dilemma, anything that is of personal importance, no matter the scale. Explain its significance to you and what steps you took or could be taken to identify a solution. There are some students who are very certain about what they want to study in college. And if you have a major already very much crystallized, you could speak to that. If you're an IB student and you're doing the extended essay, you may want to share that query or that research that you're doing as part of your extended essay. You could also talk about some news. It could be something, a more recent event like quarantine that you would want to expand on more in an essay answer. Question 5, discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. Prompt 6, describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. How does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? There are a lot of students that do a lot of independent research and reading in topics that they enjoy. And if that sounds like you, you could really put an admission representative on notice that you have a very inquiring heart and that you really want to engage in your learning. Prompt number 7, share an essay that you've already submitted or written, one that responds to a different prompt or one of your own design. This is a pretty common selection for students because they are writing essays for other colleges or maybe using other tools that they've done along the way in their essay writing. And so that tends to be a popular selection among the 7 options in the Common Application. The Common Application hosts, again, over 880 colleges to use a standard format for applying to college. But some colleges will have students also have we'll have to do a supplemental question or a supplemental essay, and that will depend on the school. The Common Application platform is very clear and it has a dashboard so that if you're applying, say, to 10 colleges, you can view the dashboard on your Common Application account to see if college X and Z need a supplemental question, a supplemental essay. And we'll talk about start term and admission plans in just a few moments because that's an important thing to keep in mind as you're balancing your time in the fall for your college search, your college applications. Your job on your essays, your college essays, whether it's the Common Application essay or another essay required, is to stand out. It is your time to let the colleges know who you are outside of your academics. You want to make sure that your writing reflects you, your authentic self, your voice. You're 17, maybe at best 18. You definitely want to write with your authentic voice. Remember that admissions representatives are looking at your application as, who is this person? How will this person contribute to our campus? Can this person write? Are they an effective writer? You want to structure your essay. Of course, use drafts and revisions so that you can perfect your essay so it really is a great reflection of you. The Common Application essay is capped at 650 words, and you can do an effective essay with even fewer words. There is another application platform called the Coalition Application. They're more of a newcomer to the field. They've been in existence for about 4 years. The Coalition Application is used by some colleges, but the Common Application has a much more robust history, and we believe that it has a much better technical structure and makes applications much easier for students. If you should use the Coalition Application, the prompts for their Coalition Application essay is They have one, tell a story from your life describing the experience that either demonstrates your character or helped to shape it. Describe a time when you made a meaningful contribution to others in which the greater good was your focus. That is the Coalition app essay prompt for the upcoming application cycle. Earlier, I had mentioned about application plans, and this is just a handy tool that references the different application plans that students have for their college applications. The most important thing to remember is what is non-restrictive versus the restrictive application plans. Under the non-restrictive application plans is regular decision, where students submit their application by a specified date and receive a decision in a clearly stated period of time. Historically, college applications are submitted in the fall, and typically students learn of their decisions in early spring. Rolling admission is also non-binding, and applications are reviewed by institutions as they are submitted, and they render admission decisions throughout that cycle, typically within about 2 to 4 weeks. Early action is slightly different. It remains non-binding, but a student applies under an early action program early in the application cycle. Typically, they must apply by November 1st, and they will receive early a decision, typically in mid-December, about their application decision. Early action also means that in addition to submitting the application early, letters of recommendation from teachers, which is a topic for next week, will also need to be submitted by that application deadline, and any needed test scores also need to be submitted to the college within their early timelines as well. Restrictive application plans include early decision. In early decision, you apply early, you get a decision early from the college, but it is an application that can only be done one at a time per application cycle. So if you have your heart set on a place like Pomona College, which offers early decision, you would apply only to Pomona College under early decision. You cannot do early decision to multiple campuses. If the college accepts you, you are committed to that college. Your only escape, if you will, from going to that institution is if financially you can't bridge that financial gap. So early decision is restrictive. You can only apply to one campus under early decision in an application cycle. There is another type of early action called restrictive early action, and that is also a non-binding, but if you apply to schools such as Stanford, which offers a restrictive early action option, you can apply early, get a decision early, but if they decline your application, deny you admission, you will be restricted from reapplying under maybe an ED program or early action program or regular admission. So it's important to know the terms. There are some options for students who are interested in early decision, early action. For some colleges, applying under early programs can improve the admission rate, but there's a lot of variables to that, and we can talk about the early decision, early action at a later time.
All right, so moving on to questions. Mr. Trosh, do you have some of those questions?
Sorry about that. I started talking and realized my mute was still on. So question, can you review the dates the apps open and are due?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the Common App, those might be, I'll let Ms. Vera talk about that, but for UC, the application opens on August 1st, and you can submit starting November 1st, and they are due November 30th. And what we've been told in the past, it's a crazy number, like over 60% of students, it might be higher than that, wait until like November 25th to submit. And something that I always tell kids is you can't count a lot in this world, but what you can probably count on is the UC site crashing on November 29th. So make sure that you are submitting before November, the end of November.
Also, just a quick note that the Cal State University system, which uses Cal State Apply, their own institutional application platform, they do not have PIQs or essays, but the UC does. As for the colleges that use the Common Application or the Coalition app, the deadlines for those individual colleges will vary. Typically, though, early action, early decision deadlines are typically November 1st, November 15th, and the majority of colleges' regular decision deadline is January 1. There are some exceptions, and then typically the admission decisions are made historically in late February throughout the month of March is when students learn their admission decision, unless they're applying under early programs where the notification is earlier.
Excellent. Next question, are common applications required with UC schools?
So the UC schools only want students to apply via the UC application. The UC application will go live August 1, as was stated earlier.
Okay. Next question. Does applying under ED restrict you from applying regularly to the same school?
Typically not. However, when you apply under ED to a particular school, you will find out generally within about 6 weeks if you've been admitted under ED, in which case, if you're accepted, you don't have to do anything else. But if you were, oh my goodness, thank you, waitlisted or deferred, thank you, you may or may not be able to reapply. Again, the example for restrictive early action, if it's a restrictive early action school like Stanford, you would not. But some colleges will move that early decision denial into their regular application pool to give you a second consideration. It depends on the school. But the important piece is that you can only apply to one early decision school per application cycle.
Thank you. For the UC PIQs given, were those for the 2021 application?
Yes. Yeah, those haven't changed in the past like 6 years or so. And those are still, we haven't been notified that they'll change. So typically those stay the same for a fairly long amount of time.
To add, we would typically know by now if they were changing, and we have not received anything from the UCs that those are changing yet.
Correct.
Okay, next question. I'm hoping to apply to a private university. The best place to find information would be their website, right? Is there somewhere secret I don't know about?
I don't think there's anything secret yet that we've determined. So going directly to the college website is excellent to look at any changes that the events of this last 90 days have caused the colleges. Most people working on college campuses are working from home like we are tonight, but you can definitely get the most up-to-date information about the colleges that you're interested in by going directly to their website. A big sea change among colleges too for the class of 2021 is going to be some changes in admission testing. Colleges that may have wanted to see an SAT, ACT score are often now saying that because of the pandemic, they're going test optional. If you've tested previously, great. Those are your scores to keep if you want to submit later, but many colleges are relaxing their admission testing requirements given the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. And those are going to vary school to school. So we really encourage you guys to do your research on that and make sure that if you know, I have this dream school, I need to see what the testing is now. Make sure that you're doing that early on so that you can be preparing for that.
Okay. Have another question here. How do I go about getting an athletic scholarship? A little off topic, but.
No, it's okay. It's a good topic. So if you are an athlete and you're looking forward to playing competitively on a college campus, not intramurals, but you really want to be on a competitive team, you need to know that in college, sports can be regulated by one of two agencies, the NC2A or the NAIA. And how a school is governed athletically in college will vary. For schools that are under NC2A, Division I and Division II, there is a process that students need to follow to be eligible to play at a college campus. And with that eligibility to play on a college campus can include scholarship money for that campus. There are also Division III schools under the NC2A that give merit aid for academic performance and contribution through athletics, but that's something to keep in mind. So if you're thinking about college, take a look and see if your colleges are under NC2A governance. And because so many are, it would be really wise for you to do the NC2A Eligibility Center this spring. There is a link in Naviance, or you could just Google NC2A Eligibility Center and begin that process. There is an academic qualification process where you'll be entering your grades and classes taken in high school, and then you'll be submitting that to the NC2A. Let your counselor know if you are submitting your NC2A, because we do need to support it with a transcript that we will send that agency.
Excellent. Next question. I have a meeting with a college admissions rep soon. What questions do you suggest I ask?
So questions you could ask. The different majors, if you don't know that already, maybe some of the community climate on the campus, if you are seeking certain types of experiences, maybe you are interested in Greek life, sororities, fraternities, maybe you're looking at research, maybe you're looking at what are the dorms like. I'm thinking of maybe singing on the side. Is there a way that I could have my creative outlet and still be able to maybe study biology on your campus? So take that opportunity to learn as much as you can about that school.
I would also talk to them about what resources they have. So how do they support their students? Do they have any freshman counseling, or do they have freshman groups on campus? So stuff like that of what is the college giving you as well?
Okay, I have a question here, a little off topic, but that's okay. Asking about what are we doing about mental health of students? And I'm going to add in there, how can students stay healthy during this difficult time now, but also being healthy during the college admissions process that's coming up?
I can kind of start, and if either of you want to chime in on that. I think a big part of it right now is showing yourself grace. If you need help, reach out to someone. Say, you know, I'm really struggling with this. Can you help? Especially reach out to your teachers. They want to help and support you. And then especially with the college process, we know that it's a stressful time. So make sure that you are, you know, you're working hard on all of it, but you still have that outlet. Make sure you're still having that time for you, whether that is you like to sing or you like to run or whatever that looks like, make sure that the part that keeps you healthy mentally, that you're still making that a priority. Because if you are just feeling super overwhelmed and you're really struggling when you're trying to do all of this, it's going to make it harder. And so just, even reaching out to friends, talking about, hey, how are you handling all of this? Counselors do have some resources as far as kind of how to organize your college search. If you'd have seen the presentation earlier in the week, trying to kind of organize that to make it as, streamlined and as less stress as possible.
And getting an early start on certain things like your college search. Ideally, when school starts in September, it would be ideal if you have your college search done. You already have that list of maybe 7, 9 schools that you're going to be applying to. Knowing what those colleges need. Do they need letters of rec? Do they need test scores? And again, test scores are probably going to not be a big factor in the class of 2021 because of the issues we've been talking about. But if you know early on what you need and can plan and take some of your summertime to get some of that done, I think you'll be so much more calmer about the process come the fall.
And I'll add one quick thing. I know I've talked just today alone, with five of my students who have expressed this same sentiment about the stress right now, the overwhelming work that they're feeling, the anxiety they're feeling, the isolation they're feeling. And guys, you're not the only one feeling this. This is a common theme for our kids. And don't hesitate to reach out. We're here. If you email us, I've set up Zooms and phone calls and set up time with your friends. There's lots of resources out there. We're fortunate in that we can do that online still, but we know how difficult this time is. If you're struggling in a particular class, reach out to your counselor, reach out to that teacher. Everybody here is here to help you, and we want to make sure you succeed. We're also well aware of how difficult this time can be. All right. Got one more question in here. Sorry. If I am applying to multiple colleges through the common application, would it be like the UC application where I would only have to do one application for all of those schools?
Yes, potentially, yes. So when you're using the common application, if you're listing several colleges in your dashboard for the common app, that single application with that essay will be sent potentially simultaneously to other colleges. But the platform is also flexible. So let's say you use the common app to send it to one school, and then you added 4 more. You could add 4 more colleges to receive your information via the common app. The UC application works the same way. You could apply to all 9 undergraduate campuses all at once, or you could do as many as you are intending to apply to at a single time or in succession. But the same application continues in its various iterations. A follow-up to the prior question about organizing your time. If you want to look at Tuesday's presentation, which is on the website, you can see a whole slide was dedicated to organizing your time and getting ready for the college application cycle in the fall. I think you'll find it helpful to organize you and get you thinking about the different things you'll be doing in the fall and what you could do in the summer to help prepare.
Thank you. And just mentioning that, a reminder, the presentation tonight is being recorded and it will be on our website tomorrow morning, along with the PowerPoint slides you're seeing in front of you. And I think we have no more questions at this time. Any closing words, Ms. Abear, Ms. Bergsley?
No, thanks for being here, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for being
here, guys, on Tuesday.
And just also remember too that, the things that we can control are many. Right now, we're in a circumstance that feels like others are in control, but ultimately this too will pass. But there are things in your everyday life that you can control. And if you could give yourself a little bit of patience, moving forward every day, maybe identifying one or two things that you are proud of what you're doing, something that shows your resilience, something to look forward to. Those would be positive steps to get stronger and prepare for more healthier days ahead.